I'm basically back at square one with the period, not period. Feeling like shit, depressed, letting all the things that don't bother me when I'm not going through it bother me. I was at home all weekend. Look how big my stomach is. I'm bloated. I almost didn't videotape it just because I saw how bloated I was. I stayed in the house all weekend ordering DoorDash. And the crazy part is that I bought tickets. I bought tickets to Music at the Intersection last month in June. And, you know, a new realization came upon me that I already knew. Like, I knew that I don't like concerts and I don't want to go to concerts and, you know, paying money to go see somebody sing the song different than the way that I learned it and heard it, you know. It ain't something that I liked. And it basically was ruined. Concerts were ruined for me a long time ago when I went to a concert by myself at 15. So this is like this thing that I've been dealing with like my entire life. That I have just felt so alone. Like no support or love or connection with someone that was genuine. I mean, literally from birth. Because I really believe that my mother probably looked at me like I looked at my son and hated me. Because when I had my middle son, I hated him. Not really, but I hated his father and the crack addiction that he was going through, which ultimately took me through the same damn thing. And I looked at my son when he was probably just days old, like literally probably wasn't even a week or so old, and said to him that I hated him. Now, I don't feel like I mistreated him, you know, like my mother has treated me. But I obviously didn't love him the way that he needed to be. Because he has always looked for relationships and love from other people. I mean, I remember well that he did, you know, everything outside the house. And loved those relationships where he would not even share with me and my older sons, but he would share with people that he knew outside the house. And I don't really know how to get over this. Like, what is it that I need to do to get over the fact that it is my destiny to be alone? Those tickets that I bought for Music at the Intersection this weekend cost me like $130. That I could have just kept in my pocket. Because they changed the whole format of how the event was even put together. Like last year, you couldn't get in at all unless you paid for the Music at the Intersection pass. But I had no idea about it because a young lady had invited me and gave me a ticket. So I didn't have to worry about that. But she only gave me a ticket for the one day that we went, which was on a Saturday. But she had tickets to go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I told her, even last year, let me know when they selling these tickets next year so I can get them at the discounted rate. Because if you buy them before the list of people that's supposed to be there is out, then you get it at a cheaper price. But that didn't happen. But I still had my mindset that I was going to go. And somehow I thought that I was going to be able to hang out with this girl. You know what I mean? That I buy my own tickets and we can still, go to this thing together. Well, she was not interested in helping me get no tickets, but I wasn't aware of that. And she wasn't interested in hanging out with me. So I went to the event Friday right after work because it starts at 5 o'clock in the evening. And I went and I was walking around and I felt fairly cool. I wasn't stressing that I was by myself or, none of that. I kind of thought to myself, not even consciously, but I assumed I was going to run into them and then we would hang out while we was there. But I didn't consciously think that at all this whole time. As I'm there probably 10 or 15 minutes and I run into her. She sees me first. And I know she sees me first because by the time I see her, she's making her way over to where I'm at. And she comes over and speaks and whatever. And because she was at the event that I was at the night before with John Baptiste and had posted a video about it, I wanted to know how it was that she got so close to him, So I was like, how did you get, And she was saying, that they walked through the crowd and she was able, he walked. But when I left, because I left before he even got off the stage, he was playing the piano and saying how this was it was the end of the show and all that. So, since it was the end of the show, I was ready to go. I wasn't going to stay to the very end. I want to get out through the crowd, get back to my car and get home. That's how uninterested I am in concerts. Because people who love concerts, I think they love the whole thing. The hustle and bustle of getting through the crowd to get to your car, and the hustle and the bustle of the driving on the street. They like the whole thing. They like everything of it. They might complain, but they like all of that. And so I had left and missed out on seeing him up close. Because truthfully, the only reason why I wanted to see him because I thought he was good looking. You know what I mean? I never heard any of his songs before. I seen a clip of him on TikTok playing his piano, and I thought to myself, man, I'd like to see him in live and live a cover. But outside of that, I wasn't, I'm not a fan of his. But anyway, we was talking about that, and then she walked away, and then when she walked away, the girl that was with us last year was coming my way. And you could tell she was making her way over there to say something to me. Well, the girl who gave me the ticket last year was walking up to her, probably saying to her, don't invite her with us, don't invite her with us. And the reason why I know why she was saying that, because the young lady was like, fanning her off like, go on, girl, quick, go on. Move out my way. I'm finna go over here and speak to this girl. I could just tell that's what was going on. So she came over and we gave a little, to each other or whatever, because I don't really know her. And what I said was, man, I probably ain't seen you since we was here last year. So she was like, no, we seen each other again, remember? When the Red Bread Band and then I said, oh yeah, I remember, I forgot about that. But that's how much we don't know each other. I forgot I seen you again. You know what I mean? It ain't no big deal. So then now they want to make they exit from me And so the girl says, well, we finna go down here to Sophie's. And I had said something else about what was going on down at the end of the street, because I had made it down at the end of the street. And they looked like they was probably coming from down at the end of the street. And she told me what was going on, and that was the end of that. Well, after that interaction with them, I was so sad. Because why wouldn't you? What did I do to you specifically that you don't want to hang out with me anymore, that you don't want to have any interaction with me anymore? And if you felt like that, why come over and speak to me? You could have waved from a distance, and I'd have waved, and I wouldn't have approached you. I wouldn't have said nothing to you. But you felt obligated to come over and speak to me, and then make me feel like shit by making me feel like you really don't want to be bothered with me. You don't want me around you and your crew. Why come and speak? That interaction literally ruined the whole weekend for me, because I was already approaching the period, not period. So all of those, emotions that I go through, which are mostly sad emotions, were already, at surface level trying to bubble up. So I literally stayed in the bed all weekend long with these $100 passes that I had to go down and hang out at the music at the intersection. But even the little time that I did end up spending there, because I never did even use the pass even that Friday, because the way they got it configured is now they got all the streets open, so people could come in on the streets, but there is this big top like circus like tent where they was going to have all the concerts, and if you didn't have a music at the intersection pass, then you couldn't come in there. But literally, if you like concerts, you wouldn't need to, because this is all in the open, so you would have heard everything that was going on in this big top. Now, you might not have been able to see it up close and see what's going on, but you could have been at that concert in a way that I could have been there in a way that I would have been cool with, because I don't give a fuck about concerts. So I paid $100 for nothing. They was $125. So I add that $25 into there. You know what I mean? So it was just like a bad, and all I just kept thinking all weekend is, why do I have to do everything alone? Why don't I have even surface relationships with, because that's all the relationships that I had before. They were all just surface. None of them women gave a fuck about me. No different than the relationship that I have with my mother. As long as I'm providing something that is beneficial to them, then they can be in relationship with me. But if I don't have anything that's providing beneficial to them, then they don't want to be in relationship with me. I didn't even realize that I commented on a post that Keke Palmer wrote on her page on YouTube. I just saw something that said something about, to show you I don't pay too much attention to details, which I need to. She said something about, when is the last solo trip, or when are you going on a solo trip, where are you going and what are you doing? So I talked about the solo trip that I just went on to New York on there. But basically, it wasn't even about the trip. It was about the fact that I was by myself doing it. Now, if I go back and reread it, I bet you Keke Palmer is making it seem like it's a plus for you to be able to go and do something solo. And only people who have a lot of people around them, a lot of support and relationships, feel that way. I like doing stuff by myself. I saw a video on TikTok this weekend where this girl was talking about how she don't like friendships, that they are exhausting, that she's sick of them and she don't want them. She don't want to be invited to the wedding. She don't want to be invited. She don't want to be invited nowhere. Leave her alone. She like being by herself. The only people who can speak like that are people that have relationships. And even when I had relationships, I never felt like I wanted to do anything alone. It never occurred to me, well, let me stop lying. I used to sneak away from my family and go to the movies by myself. I did that a lot. But that wasn't me wanting to be alone. That was me trying to reset myself to deal with all the bullshit that I was dealing with my ex. I'm just like, what is this lesson? Like, what is this lesson that I'm supposed to be learning? Like, because I still continue to do stuff by myself. Is that the lesson? Like, it couldn't be. It couldn't be the lesson. I'm just like, my son, my middle son, who tries to get on me when I say I'm alone or I don't have nobody, like, he try to make it seem like, I'm tripping and, I don't know, I guess he remembering when he grew up, my relationships with different groups of women or whatever, but he always, he never takes what I'm saying as face value. He always makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong because I am venting about my relationships not being there. Well, the same young man been texting me since mid-afternoon yesterday. Well, not mid-afternoon, probably mid-evening yesterday, that he gonna kill himself last night. And one of the things that he put in why, because I asked why, was that he was lonely. Now, more than likely, him and his girlfriend done broke up, but he ain't told me about it. But I knew they was going to break up because her parents are not going to allow her to marry someone like my son. She's going to marry another Indian person. They're not going to allow her to marry outside of her race, which they have every right to feel that way. They paying for her to become a doctor. Either way, this is probably the downfall of why he's spiraling out of control and using probably all types of drugs to try to get over that, but won't voice what's going on. He won't tell me what's going on. But I find it ironic that he said that he was lonely and he's living with his friends. That's something that he don't want to do because he's like, he homeless and he ain't got no food and he ain't got no money. Well, that's all the kind of shit you got to provide for yourself, for real. You can't nobody else provide that for you, but he feels some type of way because she was helping him financially too, probably from overseas, because that's what she is. I just don't even know what to do. Because I am, see you next time.